standards, type of government, and of course, equally importantly, the quality of governance. These are the factors. And now with the passage of time and changing international environment, the relative importance of all these factors keep fluctuating and changing, but they remain the basic cardinal and the basic principles. Another thing which has come in and which is very important in today's world is the knowledge and knowledge production. Especially the capacity to innovate and generate new forms of knowledge in gaining more and more depth into the subject. Economic growth, if it is to be sustainable in terms of resources and remain competitive across global markets, will have to depend more completely on scientific and technological progress and on developing human capital. The third is on disseminating skills and expertise across the working manpower, and this will necessitate the revitalization and expansion of India's research and educational infrastructure. As a matter of fact, the kind of money which is being pumped in by the government towards the education sector perhaps needs far more increase for the kind of population which we have, so that the human capital which is growing in this country, which is the massive, is well trained and well adjusted to the requirements of the day, and is far more sought after, not only within the country but outside in the world. And in the last factor in the aspects of what denotes the national power is the sufficient availability of energy security. This is a factor which has become most important, and for any country which wants to aspire to be a global power, I think it is one of the most important factors today. So what is the world situation today as it affects us? The world is no more sort of a single power state like earlier, unipolar as they used to call it, when the United States was absolutely supreme for a while, but now it is more or less multipolar. But having said the multipolarity part, basically it is now two superpowers which are emerging. One is the United States and the second is China. Both these powers are not perhaps now in a position to rearrange and reorder the world as was there for a while the United States was the only single power which was really at the helm of affairs. But the two powers which are equally important now are China and US. Both are important, and both are having their own pulls and pressures. And besides that, as far as we are concerned in our own immediate neighborhood, Pakistan is what it is. Area west of Pakistan, that is the area of Afghanistan, it appears to be headed for a state of chronic instability. West Asia, as you know, is in turmoil. While the situation in Iraq was a cause of concern, now added to it are the problems in the area of Syria and Egypt. And so there is a fair amount of instability in the world today, especially in our part of the world, closer to our part of the world. And another new dimension which is adding a lot of worries to everybody's mind are the developing, the progress of Iran towards the nuclearization, and also the resultant friction between Israel and Iran. And I think this is one very great cause of concern, and both these countries are friendly to us. From Iran, we are taking almost 12% of our energy resources, that is the petrol and the oil, and Israel, we are friendly otherwise, and we have also a lot of business dealing with them. So I think the immediate problem for India today in such an environment is to define and steer a clear and safe path for herself, guided predominantly by self-interest. It is the self-interest which is most important, and as far as the national dealings are concerned, unlike a human being, an individual must be governed basically by the self-interest of the nation. And another factor which is very important is that technology, I have already said. And what has this technology done? Now this technology is also now descending into the hands of the radical groups. And these radical groups, with this kind of technology which is available to them, can create a great security problem or great damaging potential and concern. So each and every country in the world has got to be on lookout for this particular kind of a threat and be very concerned with this. You know, in India as to how much care we are taking towards that direction, and we need to work more in this particular direction. So these are the various factors which are very, very important. Besides that, as far as China is concerned, well, China's economy has grown by a factor of 10 in the last 30 years, and the IMF study shows that they will be the biggest economy in the world in the next 5 years. And there's also, by 2035, they will perhaps be using 1/5 of the total global energy. And whereas China was dependent on the foreign investments earlier, today the situation is that they have themselves invested $3 trillion in the world, and they have also a sovereign wealth fund with $200 billion. And so much of trade and industry which is being promoted in that country that it is absolutely unimaginable. They are really moving on that path. And yet there are now indications of the economy slowing down in their country, and a lot of debate and thought process is going on in that country as to which way should they move. They were basically export-oriented country. Now perhaps they are looking at the Indian model of having a bigger domestic consumption. So that is of course a better debate, but as of today, they are headed in a very, very good direction, and where they want to continue to grow. Now the worry today is, will China become a hegemon state? And that is where the problem will be there. Now US is very concerned as far as China is concerned, and they are looking at India as a counterbalancing force in this part of the world. But that is perfectly alright, but I think, to my mind, India must look for a path to avoid becoming a pawn of power struggle between these two superpowers. We want to stay on a path which is clear of any such problem as far as possible. We are also as a nation interested in an inclusive world order, and in which China should be a cooperative member. And bilaterally between India and China, we would like to have very good relations, but the fact also is, unfortunately, that we have a boundary dispute with them. And we have overlapping areas of interest in our immediate and our extended neighborhood. So these are the areas where you can run into kind of a conflict with them. And also I like to mention here that while we will like to develop very good relations with China and continue in the path in which we are presently headed, where we have a very huge trade with the Chinese. As a matter of fact, their trade surplus with India is over $40 billion. But never mind, that's perfectly alright. As far as we are in the trade mode, our trade with that country will also increase. But to my mind, as a soldier, the friendship only develops amongst equals. If China continues to grow in the way that they are growing, and we continue to neglect our defense potential, or not pay as much attention to defense potential as we should be doing, we may find that we may invite China towards adventurism on their path. So that is one area which we need to take a great care about. The next aspect I want to touch upon is the energy and technology related issues. We need international partners and coalitions with many countries, but and we have a very vast range of interests, and in that we got to make sure that we also take care of domains of space and cyberspace. Now these are the two new factors which have emerged and which are of great importance. Our third factor is our internal coherence and cohesion. I'll leave it for a better expert to speak. Actually, no better man than Mr. Dowell to talk on this, because in that, while we are looking at our governance and the quality of governance and other factors, the problems like the Naxalites and the Naxalism movements which are in the heartland of our country, covering almost over 40% of the area, are areas of great concern. I suppose when he talks, he shall be touching upon this issue. Now, as far as our security-related issues are concerned, I have already talked to you. I have keep talking of China again and again for the simple reason, while we had problems only with Pakistan, that was not a cause of concern. But if you have to at all, at any stage, look at a problem where China and Pakistan get together, we need to take care. And just to give you an idea, without trying to draw the balance, equation of balance between the two countries, China's budget, defense budget, runs anything between 120 billion to 150 billion dollars a year. The stated budget is 100 billion, but 120 billion, everyone knows for definite that it is there, maybe 150 billion. We are spending around 32 billion. You translate this into this difference of this gap into a period, a time span of 10 years, you will find that they would have invested $1 trillion more than you in next 10 years. Right? Now that is a lot of money, and that provides them lots and lots of potential. And if ever there is a problem with China, you may find that Pakistan is always a very willing ally and an opportunist ally, and that is a kind of a situation we will not like to land ourselves in. Whereas I fully understand that when the Indian budget is to be allocated, it has got to take care of all those long list of factors which I mentioned earlier, of your growth of the population, your education,